device on the table, or we're good? All right. Hey, welcome to our end of the season press conference with our President of Baseball Operations, Erik Neander. There will be two mics, one of each side of the room. It will be going around.
Yeah, thank you. A few thank yous that I want to hit and a few remarks here at the beginning before getting into thank you. All of your questions, happy to take as many questions as y'all have, and seems like the type of year where there might be plenty about the last 20 years, about the future, and a few about why we're having this press conference in September instead of October or one day November. So, but first, want to give a thank you to our fans for hanging with us this year. It was different. It was unique. We did the best that we could for all of you and providing great accommodations here. Thanks to the Yankees one last time for this, but appreciate y'all being there for us. Thank you to everyone in this room, the media, for covering us this year. Gave you a lot to cover. Wish more of it was positive, but appreciate y'all working as hard as you do to provide insight and perspective to our fans, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I better not forget this one. The last 12 months from when we were at the Trop, we had just experienced the first of two hurricanes that did a lot of damage and disrupted a lot of lives in our community. I want to put this in the right perspective because a lot of people are going through worse, but a huge thank you to our players, to our staff, really to our entire organization for everything that they've endured over the last 12 months. Personally, and again, in the right perspective, people are going through worse, but professionally, you almost forgot about everything that we had to take on this year because of the professionalism, the dedication, and the resilience at which everybody handled everything about this year. Playing in this stadium, it's no excuse for the record, but this was a lot. It was a long year. And like I said, our coaches, definitely our players, and the entirety of our staff, those of us that were over in this building, the many that were over in St. Pete, working out of a insurance company's building. It was a lot, and everybody hung in there, did the absolute best that they could, and couldn't be more grateful to work with such wonderful people, players and staff alike. Next, a huge thank you to Stu, in addition to Stu, Matt, and Brian, for everything over the last 20 years. I've had the privilege of being here for almost all of those 20 years. I get in right when things started going good. My first full-time year was 2008, so that was nice. But just under their leadership, their vision, their support, just an incredible place to work, and I've been grateful for every single moment I've had to work for them and with an endless list of incredible people, some that are in this room and many that are not. I think back about the last 20 years, we've accomplished a lot. We've come a really long way. There's been a lot of reflection and, over the last several weeks about just how far we've come, and really, really proud of the accomplishments we've made. We've legitimized this franchise. We've put it into place where the expectations are high, where there's disappointment when you have a year like this or a year like last year. That says a lot about where we stand today. But that being said, there's arguably our two biggest ticket items are in front of us. There's a forever home that is not here. It needs to be figured out, and there's a championship to be won. And from a baseball standpoint, that's my and the baseball operations department's greatest priority. And Stu, in his own words, said he was the right person to take this franchise. Him and his partners from Vince DeMoli 20 years ago. Stu himself has said that Patrick Zalewski, Ken Babby, Bill Cosgrove this is the right ownership group to take it from here and elevate it another step and to accomplish those big ticket items that I just referenced. So excited for everything ahead. Stu has said his goodbyes. I assume at some point the new people are going to say their hellos. I'm here from this point forward to talk about this season, our baseball team, and not to be the spokesperson for the new ownership group. But I'll do my best to give you answers as I can. I suppose somewhere in here I should brief a little about the season itself. But a disappointing year. Not, like I said, where we want to be. Don't much care for having the end of season press conferences in September. That's the wrong month for all of us. It's not why we do it. Our expectations are, as I said earlier, they're higher. In terms of looking ahead, we're going to stay at this. We're going to try to continue to go into as many years as possible having competitive clubs that if things break right, give us the chance to elevate it. Play postseason baseball, and ideally one day win a championship. That's still our belief. That's still our goal. When you look at what Junior Caminero did this year, on one corner, you look at Jonathan Aranda on the other corner, you look at two of the greatest players in our franchise's history, Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lowe, what they've done, healthy starting pitching once we got out of camp, unfortunately for Shane, but we're going to get him back. Chandler Simpson, Jake Mangum, there's a lot here. There's a lot of ingredients that suggest with the right maneuverings from a roster standpoint, the right development from some players internally, that next year we won't be having this press conference in September. So that's how we're going to go about this offseason. That's our expectation. And with that, happy to open it up for as many questions as you all have.
Mark Topkin, Tampa Bay Times, per Elvis's
Erik
orders.
Neander.
Neander,
Yeah.
Rush Chairman.
Yeah.
With everything you said and change in ownership, stadium question, short-term, stadium question, long-term, but your focus on getting this team back to the playoffs, what do you think you guys do have to do? What is it going to take? How much? I know you can't predict what moves you're going to make, but how much, as you sit here today, do you think has to be done to get there?
Yeah, a decent amount. You could look at this team, and the record itself wasn't good enough. I think certainly the last few weeks leaned a little bit more into development and learning what we can about some players that if you're in the thick of it, you probably make some different decisions. You could sit there and point to the run differential being what it was and this and that, but even by run differential, I don't think we were a top 6 team in the league. So there's some signs that we were a better team than our record. I think when you look at this group in its entirety this year, this is not about looking ahead, this is about looking back. I think all in our position player group was somewhere in the middle to slightly above territory. The starting pitching was middle to slightly above. And our bullpen, we gave up a lot of homers and a lot of runs when we absolutely least could afford to do it. You look, and it's something we struggle with all year. You look at our bullpen's numbers and where they finished up, better strikeout rate than any team in the postseason, second best in baseball, second best walk rate in baseball. And somehow when they gave up runs, it happened at the absolute worst time, especially in July. But if you told me the starters were going to stay healthy once we broke camp, and our position players, that group would be in that solid average territory, lead the league in steals, and do that, and a bullpen would be at the top of the list in strikeouts, walks, velocity, I feel pretty good about where we'd end up, and a lot like the team in the NL Central that won that division. We didn't win the close games. We didn't separate when we could have. We didn't close down tight leads when we could have. But kind of when we look to what's ahead, that staying right there, a few things break your way, a little more production out of the outfield, a little more development from the younger players, it can turn quick. I go back to 2022 when we left that season wondering how in the heck we're going to score more runs, and we signed Zach Eflin. That didn't help us score more runs, but that team figured out how to score more runs just by way of development, right, and giving Josh Lowe opportunity, Luke Raley, and some others. And we're always going to be in a position where we're going to be counting on the players we have to take that next step forward and try to put the right complementary pieces around them. And if we do that this offseason, then I'd like to believe that we'll have a different conversation next year, and we're not terribly far off.
Adam Berry, MLB.com. This may be a question for a future day, but just given the new ownership group, like you mentioned, how much do you anticipate operationally kind of changing this offseason, whether that's payroll, personnel, things like that?
Yeah, look, if when things are finalized, they'll have their rightful opportunity to communicate their plans, their vision for the organization, everything that's ahead. The conversations I've had, like I said, there's 2 big ticket items that need to be accomplished here to really put a cherry on top of everything that the way this organization's transformed in the last 20 years for that to happen. I can say with confidence they're fully aligned in terms of wanting to make that happen with us. So we'll see where that takes us. But there's an expectation to win. Our expectation is to win. And we'll go about our business this offseason, getting to learn one another, understanding what's most important to them. But like I said, the desire to win, what's most important to us appears to be most important to them, and by all accounts, really, really good people to work for.
Tom Brew, Roundtable Sports. Eric, this franchise has been sort of built around starting pitching for a couple of decades now, and you went 100-something games more with the same 5 guys starting this year, and of course, hoping for more from Shane. Can you kind of look big picture as to where you're at with that group and what you got from this year and what you hope to see next year?
Yeah, it's one of those. You add it to the list. It's like from opening day forward, we didn't have a starting pitcher injury. You tell me that. Tell me our bullpen striking guys out, not walking guys, and Cammy's hitting 45, and I'm kind of shocked that our record is what it is in a sense. But, yeah, look, starting pitching is critical to our success and any team's success. For us, oftentimes it comes through developing them, whether we've drafted them or whether we've acquired them through trade, but helping them elevate themselves. This year's group, no different. For Shane Boz, Ryan Pepio, Drew Rasmussen, of course, to take the ball every turn the way they did combined for 90-plus starts, that's huge. For them to be able to get through that, it just puts them in a stronger position going into next year. And Drew, you can't ask for much more when it comes to what he provided us. You know, Pep was rock solid. Shane Boz, that was a big deal for him, and I think now we've got the quantity part kind of in a good place, and now we need to take that next step from a quality standpoint. But that's a strong position to be in. Joe Boyle, we saw the flashes. We've said from the moment we acquired him that's going to be a longer play. Ian Seymour, you know, when you're in the situations you're in where you're not as competitive as you like to be, you better find a way to make the most of it and give people opportunity. And Ian made an awful lot of his with his starting opportunities, and it's another one we're excited about next year. So we get to bring everybody. Adrian Hauser is the only player on this entire roster that we don't have the opportunity to bring back. It gets back to Mark's question and yours, that we're going to have a lot of starters, a lot of good starters that I think are primed to take another step forward and getting Shane McClanahan back. There's no replacing Shane, and I think we've seen that from the end of August 23 forward.
Rock Riley, Tampa Free Press, WDAE. I know it's just the beginning. I'm sure you've had some conversation with the new ownership group. Have they mentioned anything about spending more in payroll, being able to maybe sign a current player that's a star or a future star? Anything like that at all, Eric?
I'm surprised it took that many questions to get that one. Look, I've said this a long time. I'm here because I believe we can win here and we have enough to win here. Continue to believe that. The people we have, the talent we have, my job is to do the absolute best with the revenues that we have and where we are. When it comes to anything more than that, I think it's appropriate for them to have their time to explain themselves. I don't want to be the one presenting their vision, certainly when it's not official, I don't think. So, we'll get there. Like I said, getting a forever home and winning a championship are the two things at the forefront of everybody's mind. That goes for them, that goes for us, and we'll do everything we can to make that happen. And yeah, that's where we're at.
Tom Akins, NBC News. This seems like my annual question, but can this team look, when you look out to the possible available players, is there a way to upgrade the catching situation here? We appear to have serviceable players now. The question is there someone out there who will become a regular number one catcher?
Yeah. Your annual question is our annual question also. We're going to keep looking. Danny Jansen, the signing last year, he was a rock, and I know this season didn't go the way we wanted to, but was invaluable, not just offensively, he did a nice job, but just coming into this building. There's so much of that position that is not measurable, that is intangible. He was incredible, but that was a one-year deal, and obviously our season didn't go in the direction to retain him for the entire year. Hunter Fiducia is someone that we continue to have more belief in than certainly the offensive results that he showed. Nick Fortes making some adjustments, two guys that helped us more on the defensive side than the offensive side, where Danny was a little bit the other way. Finding someone, we talked about it, I think in the middle of this year, the beginning of this year, finding someone that excels offensively, excels defensively, and excels in all of the intangibles that come with that position, it is nearly impossible. There's only a handful of them out there, but I can assure you we're going to continue doing everything that we can to find the right configuration back there, and this winter will be no different.
Over here, Erik. Hi, Mark Brown. I cover the Rays for baseball site through thefencebaseball.com. You talked about different players stepping up in various capacities, hitting, pitching, catching. Is it important to form a team identity? For example, with the speed you have, the pressure defenses to play small ball. How important is that within the psychology of the game?
Yeah, I think it's hard to know. I'll give you the best answer that we can, and some years it's more credible than other years. If we had it totally figured out, we would have won more games this year. But I think an identity is helpful to when you're going through difficult times. There's always something you can fall back on, and I think this year's team was one where you go back to camp. I thought, kind of a middle of the pack offense with a lot of speed, strong run prevention in tight games out of the bullpen was going to be our recipe, and one that we've had a lot of success with this year. We just couldn't win the tight games, as often as we needed to this year. So I think had we held a few more leads and believe we had the talent to hold more leads, it just didn't happen this year. That can happen. I think you would have seen that identity as a team that's built on speed. You've got enough power, on the infield. You got enough foot speed more through the outfield, and a really good bullpen. It just didn't happen for us. But yeah, look, you look at the playoffs. There's teams that are scoring a ton of runs. There's a team in there that I think this year has the lowest batting average of a team that's ever made the postseason. Everything in between. It's do all those teams have identities? I don't know. But yeah, typically the identity is having really good players that are hungry to win, and you go from there. But I think for us, it's often going to be athleticism. It's going to be doing little things in tight games to give yourself a chance to win. We're not usually going to be built on blowing teams out. It's a fun brand of baseball to watch, but need to do a better job winning those tight games to have that clear identity.